Hi there, and welcome back to the amazing collection unboxing. I picked a little smaller box this week because we've had such big ones the last couple weeks, but good stuff comes in small packages, right? Right. We have Breyer Black Appaloosa's different molds. So this will be a fun week. Let's find out what we got. First, we have the classic Black Blanket Appaloosa Running Stallion. Produced, sculpted by Chris Hess, produced late 60s if I remember correctly. Black Appaloosa was produced for a very long time on this mold. He is in very nice condition, a few scuffs, but nothing too bad. And a very attractive, very animated, dynamic sculpt. Nice start. Next, we have the Black Appaloosa Lying Down Foal. This guy was produced a little later than him. I think he was introduced in the 70s and ran in this color, Black Appaloosa, through the 80s and 90s. For some reason, this mold tends to be subject to like a little pinprick texture on him. I read about it a long time ago, what caused it, but I don't remember it. But he has a lot of that on him. Not in great shape. He's got a few rubs, but looks good with his dad. Next, we have the Black Appaloosa Rough Coat Stock Horse Foal. I don't know if these guys were ever officially a family. The Running Stallion, Mare, and Foal were kind of in a family. I don't think he actually came with a family. He was originally issued in the late 70s, early 80s. He was made in two colors, the Black Appaloosa and the Brown Appaloosa. I thought he was adorable because he had this rough coat to him, just like the baby horses really do, instead of kind of this slicker finish to him. So I really liked him. I had him in both colors, and he does look good with the rest of his family here. So we'll make him an honorary member. Next, we have a scratching foal. As of course, you had to have the lying foal and the scratching foal together. Again, I don't remember if it was official, but as collectors, we did these things. These two guys always had to go together. He has a very unusual pattern to him. See, these guys have a big white blanket with big black splatter spots. This guy is a little teeny tiny blanket and little very fine splatter spots. Variation collectors love stuff like this. And this is a little more unusual Black Blanket Appaloosa pattern. So he goes nicely with the rest of his family. Next, we have the Running Foal to go with the Running Stallion. Now, as I said, the Running Mare, Foal, and Stallion were kind of a family, and they were produced in bay together for a very long time, but for some reason he was produced in Black Blanket Appaloosa, but none of his family members were back in that day. So I don't remember, 1990s or 2000s, they finally made the Running Foal in Black Blanket Appaloosa. I think it was a special run. It was like JCPenney or Sears. I think it was a foal set. He came with like 2 or 3 other foals. So it took us a very long time to finally get a baby black and white Appaloosa running foal to go with his daddy. And to complete the set, you have to have the Running Mare to go with the Stallion and Foal. I think this was a special run. Number is 740598. That tells me this was a special run in 1998. Irish Mist, the Black Appaloosa Running Mare. You see she has a much different blanket than any of the rest of them. Big white blanket, but like polka dot spots, which was a thing back in the late 90s. So we have the family together. They're a little different from each other, but that's fine. That's what families are for, right? So we have our nice Black Blanket Appaloosa family. And then we got bag of stuff. This looks like it's all Stablemates. So I'm just going to take them all out because there's a bunch of them in here. We got, looks like mostly drafters to me. We got lots of draft stablemates and a few other stablemates. So let's start at the beginning. This will be the beginning. This was the zip code sticker that fell off. So the original G1 Generation 1 drafters were all sculpted by Maureen Love, originally issued by Hagen Renaker as a pottery in Southern California. Breyer got the rights to produce them in plastic. So this is a G1 drafter. This is what I would call the second generation. They all came on these hang blister cards. This is the second generation card. The original cards were black. Then we had the white cards. This is a regular run card, number 5055 draft horse in chestnut. They're very hard to come by on the older cards, so people will occasionally leave them on the older cards. We have one more on one of the blister cards. This is number 5187, also a regular run drafter in more of a chestnut, and this is a yellow back blister cardboard card, so this is a later, like 1980s issue of the regular runs. So those are our cards. Then we have, let's see, then we have some stuff in baggies. So this guy has a made in China sticker, so that tells me he's later. So the Stablemates were originally made in tenite, or very solid plastic, the same plastic that these guys, the traditionals, were made in. Sometime in the early 90s, I think when they were shipped off to China, they switched to using ABS plastic. I forget the exact, it's like acetyl butyl styrene. So we'll either call it ABS plastic or styrene plastic. It's a much tinier, lighter plastic, more prone to breakage, but cheaper. So many times you'll see people when they're looking to buy a stablemate will tap it. The ABS stablemates will have a little light tinniness to it, as this guy does. He is, I believe, a special run for either Sears or Penny's. There was a period of maybe 10 years where Breyer would produce these stablemate assortments that would have 10 or 12 stablemates in it, special run for Sears and Penny's Christmas catalogs, and I believe this is one of them. I'm not an expert on these guys, but that's what he looks like to me. Now this guy, he's sealed in his package, so I'm not going to take him out, is one of the Breyerfest keychains. The original Breyerfest keychains were the stablemate foals standing and lying for a year or two. I think they made 250 each. Then they started adding a more variety of horses, and this drafter I think is from the third or fourth year that they did that, like 95, 96, when they made about 500 a piece. So this is one of those keychains, and he has the keychain with a little Breyer hang tag on him. Then we have, okay, these guys are others. This guy looks like another one of those JCPenney's, and he has a very convenient little hang tag. It says 1996 Christmas JCPenney. So this is the black Appaloosa special run for JCPenney. Oh, I'm going to hang on to those guys for a minute. This guy is solid black. Again, they made like 20 or 30 different issues of the Stablemate. I think the Stablemate drafter was the most used of the Breyer Stablemate molds. So you'll get a bunch of them that look alike, like the keychain, which obviously you can tell from this guy because he's a keychain. But this guy is a 1990 Christmas special run from Sears. So we have another guy to add to our Sears collection. Let's talk about these guys because these look interesting. Breyer produced two dapple gray Stablemate drafters. This one is labeled 1989 JCPenney Special Run Drafter Dapple Gray, number 548. So this is the JCPenney Stablemate Drafter Special Run, but we have two other Dapple Gray drafters. So let's see what these guys are. So I said they made two. They made a regular run for a very long period of time, like 19 85 to 95, something like that. It was made for a very long time in the dapple gray. Then they made those special runs. So since he's in a bag labeled, I'm going to trust the bag. Now these two guys, would they be the JCPenney or would they be the regular run? Two ways to tell. The original old style in the USA splatter dapple, which this guy would be because he was 1989, they took and they would splatter him with a grease, spray him with the gray, and then wipe the grease off to make the dapples. In the USA, that style creates a lot of variety. So you'd have big dapples, little dapples, long, oblong dapples. Big variety. Once they moved them over to China, however they did it, probably a very similar method, but maybe with a different spray gun, they do what's called bubble dapples. So this guy's going to drive me crazy. The bubble dapples are very uniform, very round. Both of these guys, this guy's very dark, this guy's very light, but they both have those bubble dapples. So that tells me he was probably the regular run, and post 1993 or whenever they moved over to China, so this would be later in the run. So let's see. They both tap very light. So I'm going to say both of these are regular run, later in the run, bubble dapple. Got all that? Because there will be a quiz. Okay, what's we got next? Oh, this guy's interesting. So, unpainteds. We've talked about them before. There's 3 types of unpainteds. There's the type where somebody takes a horse that was originally issued with a paint job and strips it of that paint. You can tell those because it's very hard to get the paint out of the little nooks and crannies, so they'll have a little paint remnant. They also kind of damage the finish, so they have very uneven gloss or finish to them. Then there's the ones that have the little extra flash where the 2 mold seams come together and they get a little extra plastic. Those are factory escapees, mistakes. They were probably never meant to be finished, so they were meant to be reground and used as another horse. So those really aren't runs per se, they were escapes. Then you have these guys that were actually meant to be sold. So they were molded and the seams were cleaned and then they were sold unpainted. I think just about horses issued 8 or 10 different molds as special runs. This guy is a Reigsicker special run from 1985. They made about 500 or 200 each of like 5 or 6 different colors. So maybe some of these guys will be Reigsickers. So they're very coveted. 1980s, the hobby wasn't going crazy yet. 200 is a pretty small run number. So these guys are very popular. So he is very clean, very even finish, no sign that there's any paint left on him. So I think he's a Reigsicker special run. Then we have, this guy has a made in China sticker on him. So I'm going to say he's one of the JCPenney special runs or Sears. Light and tinny, so he's post 1992-93. He's kind of a chestnut, but he's very weird. They splatter dappled his belly, but nowhere else. I guess you could display him on a mirror so you could see that, but interesting. This guy doesn't have a sticker, and he's solid. He's kind of that greeny gray that Breyer did for a little while. They got a bad batch of gray, I guess. But I think he's also a Sears or Penny special run from the late 80s. I'm going to put him in that category anyway. He's kind of a chestnutty gray-green. There's an infamous green sham that collectors talk about that got that paint job. So this has a convenient hang tag. This is a chestnut with one sock on his back, and it says 1984 special run Reigsickers. Ding ding ding. The dating's a little interesting. I think the receipts when people bought them were from 84. They were actually issued in 85, so you'll see those 2 years sometimes. Same special run, so about 200 made, so he goes with that unpainted guy. Then we have another black. This guy has one white hind sock and a nice hang tag. 1984 special run Reigsickers. So this is where you have to know your horses to know which one's special and which one's regular run, but this is part of that 200 each Reigsickers special run. And we have a Palomino, 1984, special run Ragsickers. So you can see they made a bunch of different colors. I know the red roan's the most popular. This guy is plain alabaster, which means he's white with kind of gray points, gray mane and tail. I can't remember if he's a special run or a regular run. He's not one of the Ragsickers. I think he was a special run. I'm going to put him over in that pile because that's just kind of what I remember. And our last one in a bag is a bay drafter, no white, no hang tag, no sticker, but nice solid tappy. I think he was also, they didn't make a lot of regular runs. I think there was only 3 or 4 regular runs, so I'm going to put him in the special run category. So we had a heavy herd of drafters here of the G1, Generation 1, 1975 issue Marine Love Sculpts. Then over here, I tucked aside these two. These two are G2, Generation 2. These guys were sculpted by Kathleen Moody, and they are also, I think these guys are called drafters, these guys are called Clydesdales. You can pedigree them as just about any heavy breed with a little bit of feathering. I think both of these guys were regular runs. We have a black pinto and we have a bay. But I think they were both regular runs of the G2s. And then we have a Peter Stone. Peter Stone did, I think, a couple of these holiday ornaments. I think this was sculpted by Lori Jo Jensen. Couldn't swear, but it feels plastic to me. A nice gray drafter with a green hot Christmas wreath with some red holly on him. He is marked Peter Stone Company 2000. I don't think they were regular runs, or I think you could get them just about anywhere, but I honestly don't remember. It's been quite some time. So he is a Peter Stone chip scale. I don't think he was ever released as a regular horse. I think he was only released as a holiday ornament, but a very cute ending to a very cool box of black and white Appaloosas and a lot of drafters. Hope you enjoyed that. I have no idea what we're going to find next week, but join me then and we'll find out. Thank you.